This is a choppy trading company and alter new media production regarding Thanksgiving. It's our story of the history of corn from the Native American tribe, the Ojibwe.
Hey everybody, this is the Indigenous People story of why corn became a part of our fall harvest and how it contributed as one of the stories to our Thanksgiving and Indigenous People Day meals. Okay, so this is a story from the Ojibwe tribe.
Wait a minute, Heidi. Where's the Ojibwe tribe?
Well, Millicent, the Ojibwe tribe originally were from the northeast part of America, as well as the Atlantic coast. And they now live in Minnesota, North Dakota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and also are in Ontario, Canada.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, Heidi. I don't understand. Where's Canada? I don't know Canada.
Okay, so Canada, Millicent, is way up north above us. Way up north. It's that next country that's above America. You understand?
Yes, I think so, but that's far away.
Yes, it is, but that will be a story for another day. Okay?
Okay.
So, once upon a time, a poor indigenous man and his wife and several children lived alone and apart from the tribe. It was on the first indications of spring that his eldest son had arrived at that age when it is thought necessary for youth to fast to see what kind of spirit would be his guide and guardian through life.
Wait, Heidi, what's fasting?
Fasting, Millicent, is when a person doesn't eat for a period of time for religious, spiritual, or dietary reasons.
Oh.
Yes, and sometimes it goes for days.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so continue.
Okay, I will. So, this could be as young as 6 years old, but in this particular story, the young boy was about 10. Accordingly, a little lodge was made for him, customary on such occasions, some distance from the parents' lodge.
Oh, what's a lodge?
Well, a lodge is an indigenous person's house, and it's what they call their home on their land. So now the father was a poor man and not very expert either in hunting or fishing, barely getting enough for the use of his family day by day.
Oh.
Yeah, but he was contented and happy and always thankful to the Great Spirit for all the comforts, little as they were. He was a humble man and a peaceful man. His eldest son, of whom we are speaking of in particular, had always been a thoughtful, quiet, pensive boy from infancy. He was always ready to assist his parents without murmuring. Kind and gentle to his brothers and sisters, he was very much loved by the whole family. The parents felt anxious about the fast he was going to do and hoped it would be fruitful. After the lad had prepared himself and entered the special lodge for his fasting, the first few days of the fast he amused himself by walking in the woods and on the mountains.
Wow.
Yeah, examining the early plants and flowers of the season, and as he observed all nature in its progress of reanimation, he sighed and wished to know all about how they first came about, how they grew without the help of man, and everything else about their being useful to mankind, and more.
Wow, I think of those things too.
I know, this is an important story to tell.
Okay, keep going. Okay.
So, after a few days, he confined himself to his little lodge, thinking how he could be helpful to his poor fellow creatures. He thought how precarious it was. The exertions of his poor father were in order to sustain his whole family, and thought if there could be no other means of support than that of fishing or hunting. And he asked that of Great Spirit. This and a great many other ideas came into the boy's mind, such as who is the author or who is the maker of all that I see, he thought. So beautiful, so silent, and yet perceptible in its operations of running everything on this planet. He said, "There must be a great spirit," he said to himself, "who has made all things and who takes care of all. I must try to find out who it is. Perhaps in my visions that I'll get, I shall find out who he is, and he may show me pity and teach me to be like him, bountiful and good. For a good spirit he must be, because he bestows such beautiful things for the use of man."
Heidi, wait. I've wondered this too. There's such a big sky and plants and so many animals out there.
I know, Millicent. So let's continue and hear what happens, okay?
Okay.
So it became the third day of his food fast, and he became weak and very faint, and he kept into his bed inside the lodge and fancied that he saw a man come down from the sky, advancing toward him, very gaily and richly dressed, having on a great many blankets of the same color, only slight shades of difference. Some were deep green and others were lighter of the earth. He was very beautiful, having fine waving feathers on his head.
Wow!
Yeah, he was covered with feathers on his hat that he was wearing on his head. When he came near, he said, "I am sent to you, my friend, by the Great Spirit, who has made all things in the sky and on the earth, the same Great One you thought must exist from what you observed the other day. He has seen and known your motives in your fasting now. He sees it is to do good for your fellow creatures and fellow men, and you did not think of yourself." "Wow," said the young boy.
That's right, Heidi. He only was thinking of others and all other animals like me.
"Yes, that's right, Millicent. Yes, let's see what happens next."
Okay.
"You seek not for grandeur," the man continued. He was really a male spirit, but appeared as a live, living man in a man's form in front of him. It was part of his vision. He said to him, "You seek not for grandeur or praise from your fellows on the planet, but for their good, and the Great Spirit is pleased with your fasting, and in consequence, I am sent to you to instruct you in how to do your kindred good, as you feel most anxious about that." He thus told the lad next to arise and prepare himself to wrestle with him, as it would be only by his courage and perseverance, as well as strength, then that he could hope to succeed in his wish to do good for all mankind.
Wow.
Yeah. So the lad knew he was weak in his body, but he felt strong in his mind and at once rose from his bed, determined to die rather than fail in his most ardent wish to do good for mankind and please the Great Spirit. And he commenced wrestling with this beautiful stranger and was almost exhausted, but he would not give up until the stranger said, "My friend, it is enough for today. Enough for once. I will come again and try you then." And smiling on him encouragingly, he ascended into the same direction he came from, up above. Whoosh! Wow! Yeah, I know. Into thin air. He was a spirit, but it was part of this boy's vision.
So, Heidi, what happened to the stranger next?
Well, the stranger had gone that day. And the next day he came back the way he came the day before. from the sky. Wow, yes, the stranger came the next day at the same hour even, and they wrestled as at first. And though the lad was weaker from want of food, this day more than the day previous, he would not give way until the stranger again spoke as before, and left him up into the sky. And he said before he left, "Tomorrow will be your last trial. Be strong, my friend, and try to vanquish me," which means overcome me. "For that is the only way you can do good and get food for yourself and others."
Oh, no, Heidi. Will he be too weak?
No, it sounds like he will be strong enough. Hang in there, Millicent.
Okay, well, let's keep reading.
Okay, so the lad felt encouraged by this and determined on the morrow rather to die than be vanquished himself. The stranger, like he said, appeared again at the usual time and said, "My friend, this is the last struggle between us. 3 days I have wrestled with you. Weak as you are, you have behaved manfully, and you seem to struggle more for others than for yourself. And therefore, I hope you will prevail." And then they continued their combat. Well, the poor youth was very, very faint in his body, but grew stronger in his mind, determined not to give up the contest, but with his life. After the usual time of struggle, the stranger acknowledged himself that he was conquered, and the strife ceased. For the first time, he entered the lodge, this man, of the youth, and sitting down beside the youth, he began to instruct him in all what manner he should take advantage of his having prevailed against him. "Now," said the stranger, "tomorrow is the 7th day of your fasting. Your father will give you food then to strengthen you, and as it is the last day of the trial, you will prevail. I know it, and now I will tell you what you must do for the good of mankind, as well as for your family. Tomorrow," he continued, "I shall meet you for the last time, and when you have knocked me down again, then clean the earth of any weeds and roots and make the earth very soft."
Wow, Heidi, did he really say that?
Yes, it's sad, but let's hear what happens to him. He said, because he was preparing for his own burial, he said, "Bury me in the spot thus prepared, and come occasionally to see where you shall place me. Be careful never to let the grass or weeds grow on the hillock where I am laid down. And once in the month, cover me anew with fresh earth." These are his instructions. "If you follow my instructions, you will do good for your fellow man and creatures by telling them and teaching them what I now tell you." And shaking hands with the lad, he disappeared up into the sky like before.
Wow.
So, in the morning, the youth's father came with some slight refreshments, saying, "My son, you have fasted long enough. If the Great Spirit will do you good, he will do it now. It is 7 days, 7 long days, since you tasted anything, and you must not sacrifice your life, as that would be displeasing to the master of life." The youth thought about this. The youth requested his father to wait until sundown, as he did not wish to break his fast till he had accomplished his vision and everything that came to him in his vision from the man, the spirit from the sky. His father said, "Very well, my son. I shall wait till you feel inclined to eat." So, at the usual hour, the beautiful stranger appeared once more from the sky and said, "You have not availed yourself of earthly strength, but so much the better. You have strength given to you from him you trust in to enable you to succeed against me." So saying, he continued, "You have already conquered me, and when I fall, as instructed, bury me as I directed, and observe all the directions I gave you, and never feel grief for my passing. Keep the weeds and grass from my grave, and then you will have your vision and benefit your fellow creatures." So accordingly, they began to wrestle, and the youth felt strengthened more than usual and prevailed against his adversary. As soon as he found he had slain the stranger, he selected a beautiful spot to bury him. It was a shallow area, a vale, where the sun shone daily and the dew on the grass descended rightly. He observed everything that he had been directed to do about the body, for the stranger had told him not to fear that he had to be buried, as he would come to life again, and that it was only through this and his death for a little while that any good would come. The youth did all that was directed by him, by his friend, and felt deeply anxious about the result of his obedience, but determined to watch very carefully when his friend would come to life again as he had predicted. He then went home and took sparingly of his father's kind meal and finished his fast.
So he ate?
Yes, he did.
Will you keep going?
Yes, I'll continue the story. Here we go. So what do you think happens next?
I don't know. Does it go to a new season?
Yes, it skips to springtime.
Oh, goody.
Okay. So, prior to that, all spring, he attended the grave of his friend and carefully, very carefully weeded the spot he was buried in. The lad never told what had occurred until one day when the father followed him to the place he so often went to. This was after a long absence. To their mutual surprise, they beheld a strange plant.
Strange?
Yes. It was several feet high, with light hair, as if it were floating in the air at the tops.
Floating?
Yes, that's what it looked like. And large, oval clusters on the sides of the stalks. The boy shouted, "It is my friend, and the friend of all mankind. None need ever depend alone upon hunting and fishing alone, as long as there is Mondawmin to live and grow from the ground."
Wait, Heidi, hang on. Oh, what was that word?
It is the Ojibwe tribe word for corn. It's pronounced Mondawmin. Okay? Do you understand?
Yes, Mondawmin.
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 It means corn. Corn. Yeah, okay, so he got it now. Okay, so the boy pulled an ear of corn and gave it to his father. "See, Father, this is what I fasted for, and the great spirit of all flesh has listened to my wish. Henceforth, men need not depend upon the chase and the produce of the waters only, for by careful attention to this plant, they will have plenty to eat whilst the world lasts."
Wow.
Yeah, that's how corn happened. But listen, this is what happens next. The boy then told his father what the beautiful stranger had told him before in their conversation, that his blankets must be taken off and his feathers pulled away from his hat before he could be of any use to man. And when both were done, they returned home, roasted the ear of corn, and felt thankful to the Master of Life, who so mercifully provides for all his creatures.
Yay! Yay!
So corn came into the world for the good of mankind. And since that time, through the instruction of the little boy, all the indigenous peoples have endeavored to get corn for their families.
Oh, yay, what a great story. I didn't know that about corn.
I know. Well, now, let's celebrate Native American Heritage Month, which is the month of November, which this is dedicated to now, by making sure that we're all grateful for all that we have, and during this Thanksgiving season. Okay, Millicent?
Yes, okay. And I'm ready to eat.
All right. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful Thanksgiving and a wonderful time with all of your families and being grateful during this season. Take care.
Yay! Let's eat. I'm hungry.
Oh, gosh. Okay, well, she's hungry, everybody, so let's all have a great holiday season. Thanks so much for watching.
Bye.